And I believe crypto will play that type
What's up? What's up? What's up? We're getting going here in just a moment. Don't trust that countdown clock. It's going to be a lot quicker. We got to talk about this market getting a little bit of a bounce.
how you think about it.
Let's get into it.
Crypto will play that type of role as a
Can't nobody tell me not. Bitcoin. Bump.
We are hearing from clients around the world.
Everybody, if you're ready to get this going, hit that one in chat, throw in an emoji, hit the like button. Let's get it. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. We got the markets doing a little bit of a bounce right now, showing some life in the charts. What do we make of this? What is going on? Because we are getting that signal of a potential bullish reversal right here with this bullish signal on the BitLab trading stack. We also have these high sell volume candles, these purple candles stopping volume, but then a continuation. It's like they're trying to push it down, and now it's starting to bounce to the upside. Now, one of the things we've got to pay attention to here is the fact that the price has not yet even broken through this trend signal line, this red line right here. We have not broken through the short-term holder cost basis area that we just fell through. We talked about this the last couple of weeks about a potential deviation below. We're getting that, and we're also still well below this weekly VWAP at that $60,000 mark, which is also, believe it or not, right about where this trend line is that we have fallen through. So we need to pay attention right now to our patience and realizing that every market maker out there is trying to do their best to chop you out of this trade. In fact, if we look here at the total market cap, this was the thumbnail. This is what I'm talking about. We're seeing a lot of green on these altcoins. We're seeing a lot of green on what's going on with some of those coins you've been holding, but we're also at a very key pivotal zone right now as we speak. The question is going to be, are the alts going to push through this, or are we going to get a rejection and see a further retracement to the downside? We've got to be a little bit patient here. We got to talk about what's going on. So as you roll in, hit that like button, look down below this video. I actually have it in the poll in chat. Check to see if your thing says notifications turned on. Make sure your notifications are turned on. And of course, make sure you're subscribed if you're not yet. Again, my name's Kelly Kellum. Welcome to the BitLab stream. We're talking about the tools, the resources, the charts, the TA, the setups, making sure that we can keep you on the right side of the trend, because the markets are in the best position, I think, that we've ever seen. And it feels so scary when you're looking at that 1 hour chart, that 15-minute chart, that 4 hour chart, showing, oh my God, we're having a little bit of a pullback. But this pullback is something that we can utilize to actually increase our wealth dramatically if we have the patience to let that happen. So let's talk about it. We got the fear and greed index dropped down finally into this neutral zone. No longer in that greed, extreme greed, or the greed. We're getting down in that neutral zone. And we've talked about this a lot in the past, that when things are very greedy, that's when profit taking is the most necessary strategy. When you're getting down to that neutral or that fear area on the fear and greed, that's when you really want to be looking for buying opportunities. It doesn't mean you buy exactly when this hits green, or exactly when this hits red, or sell exactly when this hits extreme greed. But it is a signal about that sentiment in the market. When we're looking right now, let's actually reload this page just to make sure we got those fresh numbers. Bitcoin is hovering around that, just still under that $60,000 mark that we just spoke about. Ethereum still under 3,000. BNB 565. Solana had a bit of a push to the upside. In fact, let's come here. Let's go to the watch list. Let's see what's OPSEC up 31%. Aerodrome had a little bit of a glitch in their protocol that they fixed. There's no liquidity tokens at risk or anything, but they did fix that. This was down below $1 yesterday. I mean, let's look at this on Aerodrome. Yesterday we got down to, look at this, all the way down in the 97 cents. See how much lower it went, all the way down here to 86 cents. So for those of you that were looking at Aerodrome when it was at 231 saying, oh my God, it ran away. Well, look, this was that opportunity. When you're seeing things take a nosedive, you should be looking for entries. That is a strategy that winners use. Now, when coming back over to this watch list, I just want to point out that we also DSO down quite a bit, but everything else has been hovering, fairly positive. Look at all this green in the 24 hours. This is just my watch list here, all green. So we are seeing, this is why this is also pushing up. This is on the 4-hour chart. We see the total 3, all these altcoins. We see it pushing to the upside because the altcoin market is bouncing right now. We need to pay attention to this zone because if we start seeing some rejections, this may have just been a setup for higher positions to take shorts from for market makers to flush out the shorts coming up and then flush out the longs by this moving back to the downside. So we got to pay attention to what's going on. But in the macro, when we're looking at things on the macro, just pay attention to this chart right here. On track for $1 million per Bitcoin as fair value by 2035. $1 million, as Dr. Evil would say. $1 million. We're on track with this path that he's mapped out here. Now, why are we so bothered by a move from 74 to 57? If we have any idea in our mind about a longer term time horizon of the explosive gains that are to come over time, then why are we so myopically focused on the frustration of a moment that it's not moving today, right now, it's not going up? If it's not going up in this moment, but we see the projection into the future being so ridiculously much higher than where it is now, even if it's only 500,000, even if it's only 300,000, doesn't matter on that time horizon. That is an explosive gain from the position it's at now. So we should be championing, we should be cheering on the dips in prices that we get so that we can stack into our future. Now, looking right here, we also see from Bitcoin Archive says sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, and endowments will start trading Bitcoin ETFs in the coming months. This is from BlackRock's head of digital assets. You realize how large that pool is of capital to potentially come in, buying pressure into Bitcoin. This is incredible. There are very bullish things. So when we're looking right here, we see Bitcoin, oh my God, has been dropping. I mean, when you're even on this 4-hour chart, it's like, oh my God, the bull market's over. But then we zoom back out on this chart, go on the 3-day, double click here, and we can see this is just uptrends. We get these large pullbacks. Let's be a little bit, let's actually delete this. I did a chart for the Discord yesterday. But looking at where we're at on this chart, look at this wick on this 3-day chart. We had a wick down, sweeping those lows, which is something I was talking to you all about. Sweeping those lows through the short-term holder cost basis, getting that slight deviation below, and we could still go lower. We talked about the potential coming down to this $53,000 mark, which is where this previous price action was, as well in line with this next level down on this rising channel. If we go lower, we've got a target in mind. But as we look at this on the bullish lens, we've got this sort of falling wedge pattern here where it's oscillated from here, bouncing support, rejecting at resistance. Now within this cloud that we have here on the BitLab trading stack, getting rejected at this 20 moving average cloud. You see all these little bands in here, all these, basically this, it's like an EMA ribbon around this darker line. This is the 20 moving average, and it's finding resistance, resistance, resistance until ultimately, this is what I really want to signal here. If you're wondering about that move to the downside, it broke through this trend signal line, found support again, really establishing this lower support level, and then not only rejecting at this trend signal line, now falling through it, confirming a move down, but also establishing this downtrend resistance. And we just kind of tracked along that until we swept down. But look, on this 3-day candle, we've got 8 hours left of this. We are now back within this falling wedge. Falling wedges do tend to break to the upside. Now, I do think there's still, the markets are very tense right now with everybody trying to figure out what's going on. They're still trying to decipher the tone from Jerome Powell yesterday so we can understand what the risk narrative is going to be generally for markets. So we very well could still get another sweep to the downside. We have a target in mind. But there are some bullish signs in the charts. There are some things that we can look to that suggest what's going on. We also see former PayPal president David Marcus says Bitcoin is going to be the native currency of AI. We've all talked about how explosive that general niche is going to be globally. And Bitcoin will also be able to ride, probably, there's a high likelihood of it being a part of that narrative as well as the currency between those different services and protocols. But when we're talking about the price right now today, this is what I shared yesterday. There's a time to worry, and it's not now. Look at the data, not the price. Bitcoin is still showing incredible data points for this stage of the market cycle. Could it change? Yeah, it sure could. A good reason to always make bull and bear paths, but currently we are still historically bullish. Yes, even in the middle of a correction. You can be bullish in the middle of a correction when you're looking at the macro and you see that we do have, for instance, this was a real establishment of the bull trend, but all the way through here, we're still forming bullish structures on the way up. So even in the middle of this dip, you can still be bullish. And when you understand the trend and you trust your analysis, you've been watching BitLab for several months or almost a year now, or you're watching Frankie Candles, or you're watching Discover Crypto, or all of those, or Investing Bros, you start to really layer in your education, but also your time in the market makes you start being more comfortable with identifying a trend. And once you understand that this is a bullish trend, then you're looking for dip buying opportunities. Yet again, dip buying opportunity coming into those levels that we have marked out. Now, coming back over to this chart right here, this is why it's so important. It feels so scary. It feels so scary. Yet we're only down about 23%. Welcome to a more middle of the road Bitcoin bull market correction. These right here, these are the dips, the damage to the bullish trend. These are the dips within that bull market. You see, all of these are bigger. Every one of these cycles previously have had bigger and more consistent large dips along the way. Whereas right here, looking at what we're doing in this cycle, this is barely even taps to about, anywhere near the deeper lows of those dips that we've seen in previous cycles. Look at this last cycle. Look how big these dips were. This is the separation from basically how high the price goes. And then once price starts dipping, this is showing you that scale. And look at how small this is. This is, we're in a wonderful position right now with the market. Now, when we talk about this, and I've been speaking about this as well, these deviations below, and I've been specifically referencing the deviations below on the, regarding the short-term holder cost basis. But when we just look at these general patterns, these patterns that we've seen form on these charts, and this goes back to basically the start of the bull trend. This is a FTX collapse happened over here. This was that little consolidation. This was that first move up. This was that first real establishment of that bull trend right here on this bounce on the break to the upside. But let's look at the MACD down here at the bottom and also the patterns. The breakdown below the pattern also resulted in the MACD coming down and reversing once it got into a particular zone, resulting in a large bullish trend that followed, or bullish impulse, I should say. Boom. Then we have this trend again. We deviated below MACD, also tapping down into this area. Large move to the upside. Now, in this case, look at this. We drop down below. Huge dip into this reset zone. And it took a little bit of time. Now, why is this? Now, why did these launch quickly and why did this take time? This is very important because this goes back to what we were talking about here when we were talking about the fear and greed index. Essentially, what we're looking at here, when we're using that in conjunction with looking at a chart, is you want to understand the sentiment of the market, because when the market is generally very bullish and things sort of break trend or change, in this case, look, this did break to the upside, but we nearly had a double top here. This was barely higher. So when this broke back down, and remember when we were talking about that short-term holder cost basis, this was also a break. This was that deviation below the short-term holder cost basis. So this frightened the market a little bit. And what happened? It took a little bit longer. Rather than just having a dip spring, we had a dip consolidation, which turned into accumulation as those levels, the bulls still defended this area. So although we did go into this reset zone, it took a little bit of bullish divergence with this really climbing up before the market had confidence with the bulls defending this area until we ultimately got a very strong launch and moved to the upside. Now, what do you notice the difference is here? Very quick move down. We launch straight up. And basically that was it. We had a launch and then just consolidation. The difference here is we formed a base. Think of this as a platform. Think of this as a foundation for which to springboard off of with more authority, a more thrust. In this case, this did consolidate into an accumulation. And then once the move really started going, we have fully established that no, the bulls do trust that this is an area that they're going to defend. The bears start giving up their confidence. So what happens is you have the bulls take over the narrative, and the bears even start flipping into bullish buyers as well, and you get this large move to the upside. Then what do we get? ETF gets approved. Fairly quick sell-off here, sell the news. What we just have in Hong Kong, we just had the Hong Kong ETF approval as well with the Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETFs. This is where we're at right here. We're seeing a very similar thing right here on those approvals. Sell the news, boom, boom. We got a deviation, tapped into the zone, and then the price action launched to the upside. Now, is this going to happen? We can't know. We can just prepare and manage our risk, but this does lean currently, unless we start taking further lows. If we break below 53, we're starting to really change the dynamics here. But as it stands right now, all we're doing is currently showing a similar deviation with the MACD dipping into this reset zone. This gives me a little bit more confidence about where we're at right now. But my question to you is right now, have you joined us here in the family? Have you hit that subscribe button? Have you, looking down below, have you turn on your notifications? I just want to reemphasize that. We got more content that I'm working on putting out here, basically doing 2 streams a day. And I want to make sure that you all get those notifications. And also there's going to be some special stuff for the BitLab members that you're going to be getting access to ahead of everybody else. And I'm talking about the members here on the YouTube. So make sure you join. It's a great way to help support the channel and keep us going, keep the lights on, and also make sure that we have enough focused energy to be able to bring more and more and more content to you all. Now, looking back over to this chart, we're talking about the bullish narrative. Can we bounce here and have that bounce actually matriculate and grow into an actual reversal, meaning not just a bounce that gets rejected and comes down, but a bounce that follows through, breaks past the previous range high, and continues to the upside. So here's another chart. Mustache here. Bitcoin bottom close, finally in, maybe. The better RSI gives a red signal. In the past, this always signaled the bottom. Bitcoin is also moving on a trend line that has been in place since October 2023. This is that trend line. This is where it's established. This is where it's really formed, because now we have the 2 points. And then look at where we're at right now. We're right on that zone. And then what do? We look down to the data. We look down to the data and we see this is RSI dipping in that red zone below the 20 marker here. And then the price is moving up. Oh my God, we're crashing. We come into form this trend line and we have the RSI dip down. It's almost like, let's scare the shit out of everybody. Smart people buy, and then we launch. I am not selling in these. I'm looking for buy opportunities. Now, what do? Price goes up, kind of matriculates sideways, almost to give the price action a meaningful area to really do its work, to chop out shorts, to chop out longs, to chop out shorts, chop out longs, chop out shorts. And then ultimately, because the bulls cannot get past a certain level, those bulls give up as well, ultimately sending the price lower, because now they're not going to defend an area. And we see the price action come down to what we see is an established area that we need to pay attention to. And this is essentially roughly right about the price action we're at right now. And the RSI also is showing that signal dipping into this zone. This does not mean we cannot have a further swing lower. This is just starting to stack up those bullish points for an opportunity to really consider a strong bounce could be coming in. But we need to still practice our risk management, still need to be smart. Now, when we look at this is also similar to what I was talking about with those dips on the charts before. It feels like doom and gloom to those not looking at the macro. However, we have had 5 weeks with bearish action. This is the second time. And it's also the second longest bearish consecutive candle streak in Bitcoin's history. And yet we're only a little over 20% from all-time high. So the difference here, when we're looking at this chart, this is 9 weeks, but this is in the middle of a bear trend that we know, based on the time scale of market cycles, that this makes sense. this was also at the end of a bear market cycle. Now we're getting 5 bearish weeks in a row. The bears are doing everything they can to send price lower, and yet we're still in one of those absolute risk mitigated, I mean, some of the smallest pullbacks in history. This is why for those of you that were here early, this is why I shared that short as a trailer, and you can go onto BitLab and watch that short. And this is actually a little snippet from yesterday's show, but I talked about this being the most luxurious. This is the most luxurious bull market we've ever had, giving us opportunities with, 15 to 23% dips along the way, not having 100% push-ups with 60% sell-offs, and then another 60% push-up with a 35% sell-off, and then 140% push-up with a 72% pullback. These are the kind of things we've seen in previous cycles. We're just steadily stair-stepping up, and if you utilize these buying opportunities or just moments to step away from the charts, we know where things are going, whether it starts immediately or if it starts in 6 months. There is that moniker a lot of people talk about, that phrase, sell in May and walk away, and then that Halloween signal where you sell in May and then you buy back into the market in October or September, October, and you can get historically great returns. But we're also seeing a lot of shifting dynamics on the global stage about what's going on. And the US is in a precarious position right now that is tied to this global market, right? With Japan having issues with their currency, potentially selling a lot of their treasury. So what do? Now we change the dynamic of basically these treasury buybacks, right? So it's kind of like a cloak to stealth way to stimulate the economy without saying, hey, we're money printing. But at some point, we've got to reduce the interest rates, because we have the U.S. interest, the interest on the debt that we have here in the U.S. is now over $1 trillion. And that's debt. That debt is affected by those interest rates as well. At some point, they're going to either need to print massively or start having pretty strong reductions on those interest rates. And I know the global market, this is one of the reasons why we are seeing in the U.S., the markets kind of perform very bizarrely to what we've seen in the past, because we have people becoming more aware now because of social media as well, that the only way to maintain, not even step into your own future, the only way to maintain with the current monetary regime is not hold cash. So it's putting money in the market, whether it's stocks, whether it's Tesla, whether it's Starbucks, whether it's Amazon or Bitcoin, which is basically the growing awareness people are seeing to basically hold these other assets, not hold cash. So the markets are kind of acting very bizarrely around this, and we're in an election cycle year. So when we see things that are pulling back, but we're also seeing things are breaking, and they're doing everything they can to rob Peter to pay Paul. This is why we're seeing these things sort of impacted in different ways that we've seen in historical trends. We also know we just had the halving. We also know that we have, on the global adoption projection for Bitcoin over time, and we see BlackRock and Coinbase and Crypto.com and Kraken all doing actual paid advertising campaigns and commercials in addition to sponsorships that they're doing at events. The awareness is only going to grow over time, and the awareness brings new buyers, and new buyers bring buying pressure. And we have a limited supply in Bitcoin. So let's talk about all that. Okay, we've had 5 weeks, down weeks in a row. Are we going to get another one? Maybe. Well, let's see. I do think because of where we're at in this cycle, any dip from here is only a better and better buying opportunity. Now, we're talking about altcoins as well. Well, here's altcoins and Bitcoin, but we see altcoins, USDT Dominance broke through. This is a stablecoin tether. When the dominance is very high, coins have moved out of those positions into holding stablecoin. When you start seeing the dominance of tether dropping, and that money typically is moving back into altcoins. So USDT Dominance broke through its trend line that's been intact for 6 years. This is, and this is on the monthly chart, and we're right in the middle of potential. Remember, we just had some really, really good price action over the last several months on altcoins. Some altcoins already changed people's lives with the gains, and now we're seeing a little bit of a pullback. Well, this is that pullback. This last month and a half where we had the pullback, the dominance has been going up. but we're right now in the middle of a potential doji candle, or basically small body candle here, showing the lack of momentum of people selling altcoins into stables. If this does end this month, of course, we've got all month to figure this out. If we cannot get back through this trend line and this does signal a move to the downside, this downside right here that could happen would result in massive gains in the altcoin and Bitcoin market. So we got a lot of things looking very bullish. And in addition to all this, we see still huge outflow from exchanges into private holding. Now we have had a little bit of a reduction here, but this is still negative, meaning people are moving coins off of exchange still, AKA I'm preparing to hold longer term. Not moving to exchange, which would be the green, which means they're potentially preparing to sell. And then we look at the liquidation chart, and we see, let's actually refresh this just because it's been about 2 hours since I looked at this. Okay, and look at this, kind of just whipsawing back and forth. Let's go down to the 12-hour chart, retest, and then looking at where we're at right now, zoom in on that. We've got a lot of liquidation zones below us from the longs that have come in here, but we still have a lot of, directly, where's the closer zones? The closer zone is directly above us here in the 59.2 sort of zone, all the way up here through 60. If we can clear this, maybe some confidence comes back in the market, but things are feeling precariously uncertain because there's so many different things at play right now. If you're looking at everything, if you look at the market cycle for Bitcoin, and you look at the fact that we are in the election cycle year, and you look at the fact that other scary things, where is that at? Right here. We just had over $500 million of negative flow on the ETFs yesterday, meaning sell pressure on the market. Sell pressure on the market, and the market's still holding in that over that $56,000 level. But in the same span, we also see that the Hong Kong ETFs, Eric Baltunas reports that on the first day, Hong Kong ETFs amassed $292 million in assets. This puts them way ahead of his prediction of reaching $1 billion in 2 years. So even though we're getting some sell pressure, we just opened another capital flow highway into crypto, into Bitcoin, into Ethereum. So I don't mind the sell pressure right now. I'm allowing that sell pressure in the market to send the price to better opportunity zones to lower our entries or stack into things we don't have enough of yet. So when we're looking at this, getting down to the 4-hour chart, we're right at a zone right now. Look at where we're at. What do I see when I see this? We turn off everything. Let's always first look at the price action. Where is the price right now? Yes, it is moving to the upside, but where is the price action? Price action right now is not only at this trend line, right? This trend line that we have, it's also hesitating right at this previous range low. Price action very regularly will move down and move up and test a range. Move down, move up and test a range. Just trying to check the health. Are the bulls in favor or are the bears in favor? In this case, the bulls made a move, got sent right back down. But then we got this full reversal here. In this case, it's just a bounce. But this bounce really pushing the upside. But we're hitting right here on the gate of bigger gains. If we cannot clear this zone, this 59.2 to 59.2 zone that we're currently at, this rejection here would tell me that we're more likely not going to test for a double bottom at 56. And if we lose that, then I do think we're coming down into that $53,000 range. But then I do want to point out yesterday, all of you that are BitLab members in the Academy, I shared a bunch of charts yesterday in the Kelly Alpha channel right here, talking about, the different setups that were happening in the market. We had Polkadot actually breaking through a trend line. And we're going to check up on all these here in a second. Breaking through the trend line. I have the targets for you here. We also talked about Render breaking through, kind of hesitating on this breakthrough of this downtrend. They just had a big announcement today as well with their Octa something, I can't remember. But we could see broke through the weekly VWAP and broke through this trend line, showing bullish initiative. We see Solana actually pushing up and sitting right at this level. We're seeing the desire, and this is one of the things that actually scares me about the bullish trend, is that the fact that we do, let me come back over here. The fact that we do, when we come to CoinMarketCap and we go to 24-hour and we see Pepe is up 23%, we see Bonk is up 19%, we see this DEX, Jupiter up 15%, Dog with Hat 15%, Floki 13%. We're seeing a lot of retail-focused coins having massive gains. This tells me that either we're in a different paradigm without having the money flow cascading from Bitcoin to Ethereum to other top caps to mid caps and then down to meme coins, this traditional capital flow that we've seen within the market each cycle. Either things are very different now, or we're seeing this is signaling that the fear that people think is in the market is not yet there yet, which to me would signal, if that's the case, that we may have a further washout to the downside to really send the stragglers, to really send the people on the periphery, really send people that don't have conviction to hit the road, right? So there's a lot of things at play right now. So let's actually go through some of these. We got Ethereum. We got that rejection. We've talked about it. And we did. We came right down into the zone that we had marked out, all the way back here. But we've been tapping into the zone. And look at this, wick, but now we have candle body test the top, candle bodies closing all throughout this. And so if this were to push to the upside, we need to watch this zone right here, this $3,100 zone. Why? Because we have rejections here and support here. So we have a platform and we have something holding. It's kind of like if you're going to stick a broomstick handle into something, it doesn't just rest on something. You need something to hold it from the top and the bottom. Those are your best zones to watch for. And so we have this right here. You see, this is being held up on top of these right here, and this is being rejected from the top of it right here. So rejection and support, giving two different levels, right, pinching this zone. It tells us if price action pushes up here, we cannot really consider bullishness or a bullish continuation unless we can clear this. Now, when we pull up the weekly VWAP, this is also giving this whole zone right here, basically right at just north of 3,000. But 3,000 to 3,100 is going to be a precarious zone if we cannot clear it. We got the bullish signal right here. Price action pushes up in the zone, finds support basically at the 20 moving average. Now look, it's being held by this trend signal line. So there's not a conviction of bullishness yet until we first clear this weekly VWAP and then ultimately clear these previous range lows, this level right here at $3,100. I'm still looking for, if we do get rejected here, the sweep down here into this $2,700 mark. Now, where is Solana? Solana, see this? Let's get down to the 2 hour. This was that mark that we were talking about. This is that exact zone. Where is it? Boom. See, we're sitting right at that zone. And price action actually did get rejected, found support. This is what we want to see. We break through the weekly VWAP, and then we're trying to say, is it the intention of the bigger players of the market in general to play a positive spread or negative spread? Well, we broke through the weekly VWAP. We found resistance at a known level. We got rejected, but where do the bulls come in? The bulls came in right at the weekly VWAP. Their intent is to go higher. So what do? Boom, we go higher. This time it doesn't even hesitate at this trend line, pushes higher right into here. Where is that? Look at this, option H. Where do these wicks coming into? Previous range lows, right in here. See this? So if we can clear this, then we're looking at that 150, this 142, which is the top here, but really going into the 150s. If we reject here, we're going to want to be watching for a retest down here on this trend line, this descending level of resistance that now we need to test at some point as potential support, whether it's all the way down to the line, which at this point would be the weekly VWAP intersecting the zone, giving it a lot of authority. Or shout out Deucey Does Crypto. Welcome to being a BitLab Tech. Thank you for being part of the BitLab membership here. Big love to you. I appreciate each and every one of you members with all the beakers next to your names. Drop some emojis in here. Are you a dip buyer? Are you a crazy chicken right now? Are you looking for lower prices? I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are. But I do want to point out, we do have this bullish impulse, which is fairly, let's not call it large, but this is a nice bullish impulse. Is the next one larger or smaller? Ooh, it's only about 60%. So we're losing bullish momentum coming into this. So we need to pay attention to this right now. There is a bounce in place right now. Until we break past some previous important levels, all it is a bounce. Sufficient enough says he's a buyer, or he or she. Cardano, also, look at this. Notice, bouncing, but what do we have? Let's go ahead and turn off the indicators. Let's just look at the price action. What do we have? Although it's bounced, what do we have? Rising wedge. This is not screaming at me. It's about to go up. Now, we do have a bunch of green here on this on the BitLab Trim Fuel on this dashboard. So we are seeing some things that have flipped bullish, but we're also in the middle of a bearish pattern fighting this zone right here, option J, this previous range high right in here. If we cannot clear this, this is telling me that we likely, even if this does continue higher, that we'll likely get a washout to the downside, potentially maybe right about, this is the bullish case. If we get a bearish breakdown that is bullish, I know that sounds convoluted, but this is how things can work. Flush, the system's designed to flush you out. So if this does break to the downside and we want this to be bullish, this would satisfy this being a bearish pattern, breaking down out of this, finding support here, and then having the continuation. That would be excellent. If this does break to the upside, watch for where it does come back and find bullish support again. Render, let's look at that. We just talked about that. This is a zone I'm really watching for, because look at this. Look at this huge sweep to the upside. Bears took it back over, and then it got rejected roughly about where this trend line is. Rejected down, found support where? Previous range high, and then launched to the upside. But very similar to like what we just saw on Solana, a fairly large, this actually looks like it's about, let's see. That was the attempt. Yeah, I mean, so that much smaller here. If we go just candle bodies, then this is looking relatively about the same size. But this was how much bullish initiative came in and that the bears just said, nope. But now we're trying to go up and have candle bodies flush out this whole area. But this is the area we're really watching, this $8.04. If we do reject even where we're at right now, recognize that we very regularly, when we break through a trend area, this is a trend area right here, we broke through it, we want to see some sort of bounce in here and then a continuation, because we haven't yet really confirmed this support resistance flip of this trend line as it stands. So let's go ahead and look at where yeah, look at this. Slices through the weekly VWAP, comes down, finds support roughly right about at it, pushes up. We're going to we want this to hold above 744, but realistically, we're going to want to hold about 750 if we're expecting continuation bullishly. What would be nice, though, is if this bounces roughly about where this previous range top is, and we just get a small pullback. But we need to let things develop right now, because the bulls really want it to go, and there's limited capital with those people, because a lot of the people that are super bullish are already fully deployed. New consumers coming in, new people coming in the market, we're not really getting a lot of new adopters, new capital coming in to altcoins. This is why we're kind of waiting for the signal that the risk is back on, and we do that by watching what's going on in Bitcoin. And right now, look, it's having trouble getting past this previous range low. So we got some things to pay attention to. We got some things to be a little cautious of. But at the end of the day, when you zoom out and look at the macro, it's all setting up for a more beautiful bullish future. The market's doing its work right now to clear out and flush out people in this market, and that's a good thing. By the way, we got a $100 giveaway we're going to be drawing for here in just a second. So it's your last opportunity to head over to the BitLab Academy Twitter page and retweet this tweet. It's the pinned comment, the pinned tweet at the very top. Retweet for a chance to win $100. I'll be drawing this in about 5 minutes. So make sure you head over there and do that. And by the way, just speaking of that, if you haven't yet, we got so much. I was kind of a little distracted the last 2 weeks with the payment provider crossover that we had to do, but we got so much going on in the Discord. John Dalton and Corduroy have been sharing so many just ridiculously good charts here. Chart request area, the VIP charts. I'm starting to share quite a bit more. Again, we have this afternoon, if you scroll up, if you are a BitLab member in the Discord, come over here to one event. See this, we have a basically TA chat going on this afternoon at 3 p.m. And I will be recording it and sharing that in the rewatch streams area. But get in there. If you haven't joined us in BitLab, we got a great halving special going on right now. If you just head to lab.bitlabacademy.com, and again, that link is in this tweet on the BitLab Academy Twitter page. It's lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. You can get 15 days for free, and then basically a reduced price also for the life of your account. Join now before deal goes away. Boom. So now with that being said, let's get back over here and look at a couple more charts. I do want to just point out, where's my Velo charts at? Boom. We are still setting up in a beautiful area right now that people are starting to have open interest committing short. And we've seen historically when this happens, right here, continuation up. Right here, continuation up. Right here, it feels scary, but we're setting this up and we're getting a nice setup with what's going on in terms of the macro view of what's happening on the markets. Now, if we come over here to, there's something else I wanted to show you. It's not what I want to show you. Where is it at? Open interest. So we see this large reduction in open interest right here. This is good. We want healthy moves to the upside. We want to see these reductions, much like we saw right here. See this large reduction in open interest? This is also right in line with where we had the FTX collapse. But then we can start moving up. And every time this starts getting very high, the market corrects it and it brings it back down. And then this starts tracking it somewhat to the upside and it gets fairly high. Market corrects it back down. And look at this. Everybody's trying to really front run it. And then we're getting that wash out of that open interest to the downside, which is something that we need to see. So by the way, all this trading that you're doing, looking, accumulating, following the different charts, doing everything you can to stack in, make sure you get Arculus, our favorite, the most trusted. I love the Arculus wallet, hardware wallet. It's got 3-factor multi-authentication. It's just awesome. They have the patents for all those credit cards that you have, like your Amex or your Visa, these chips, that they're the company that has the patents on those. It's the most secure, I think one of the most secure wallets out there. It's it's awesome. You can use, I got the link at the very top pinned in the live chat. Go to getarculus.com, use lab10, LAB10, lab10 for 10% off. Now, I think it's time to give you guys that opportunity at that $100 giveaway. So let me go ahead and flip this over to BitLab Academy, go to the page. Who do you think is going to get it? Who do you think is going to get it? And question here for everybody watching live, and also if you're watching later, comment down below. Let me know what you think about, do you think we're in process of a reversal about to happen, or do you think we have lower to go? And if you think it's below 53, let me know where you think price is actually going to find a bottom on this dip. If you don't think we're in the, and you will, going to give you guys a chance for $100. Now my computer's locking up. That's awesome. Come on, motherfucker. All right, well, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and do the pick either way. I'm not sure if it's back yet. It's so frustrating. Sorry, everybody. Let's go ahead. Copy, paste, Twitter's must like, and get data. All right, guys, can you guys see me, hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? All right, let's see. $100 USDT. Who going to get Cole RT? I know there's a longtime member here of the channel. active member of the community, you get that $100 USDT giveaway. I will reach out to you on BitLab Academy and through my Kelly Kellum page. Send me a DM as well. I will verify who it is, and we will make sure that we can get you all sorted out and make sure that you get that $100 USDT. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to do a deep clean on my computer, I guess, flush out the routers here and such. Not sure what's going on there, but I love you guys. I appreciate you all. Hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. That's all I got for now. Tune in to the BitLab Academy member stream later in the Discord. I love you guys. That's all I got. Adios.